Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Charan. Can you hear me? You're muted. You're muted. There you
Hello.
go. Hi.
Hi. Sorry.
That's okay.
How are you?
I'm okay. Good. It's good. How's it going?
Yeah, good, good.
So you know it's being recorded now, right?
Okay, okay.
Okay, that's fine. Um, I'm not sure if you will appear, but if you don't appear, that's fine. As long as your audio does, that's fine.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Fine. Okay. Um, yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, what I'm saying is you don't need to turn off your camera. You can turn it on, off, doesn't matter. Um, I'll post this on Facebook, sorry, YouTube. Okay, it's on my channel because
Okay,
it's a reading. So that way you have access to it too. It will have the subtitles with it.
okay.
So just in case. Okay. But just in case, I will have to also add that here just to make sure. Where's that? Caption settings. Okay, here we go. Okay. It looks weird on my end. But okay. Okay. So, I got your question. You were talking about success or something. Let me double check here. Where's your actual question here? I just got the idea. It's like, okay, okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a what you call like a life path reading.
Okay,
It will pertain to we call this. It'll pertain to your what your soul came here to do. When I say your soul, I mean because when we come to this planet, we don't know. We forget what our path was, what we came here to learn, but that's the purpose of it, so that we actually learn. Because if we know what we're doing here, it's almost like, well, what's the point? And it's like, why? So it's good not to know. That's the whole purpose. So in astrology, we have what you call like the nodes. We're going to be working with the nodes today. So people who sometimes watch YouTube, they know about the nodes. But like I said before, I go into a lot of detail,
all right.
a lot. So I'm going to be talking quite a lot.
No
If you
problem.
have, yeah, if you have any questions, you can, I'll slow down. You can pause, like you can like, what do you call this? You can stop me for a second if you have any questions. I will ask certain questions as well, like, would you kind of sometime, if, yeah, because here's the thing about astrology. It's as Pam Gregory calls it. She says, she's an astrologer. She says,
Okay,
astrology is a language of probability, which actually ties in with the quantum physics of reality, of universes, that every choice you make, it's a path, it's a different path, it's a different path. Okay.
yeah,
That's why they showed it in the Avengers movie. Okay. They had the different possibilities every second. There's a, right? If I
yeah,
choose to do this, if I choose to do this, what I say, it'll be a different path. There's endless, infinite amounts of possibilities. Infinite. Okay. And that's exactly what astrology shows as well. Okay. So I'm going to be stating things that might happen, may not have happened, may happen. It doesn't matter. Okay.
okay.
Okay. So first we're going to look into your south node. I'm actually going to share the screen just for the sake of um let's see here. Just 1 second. Let's see if anything's open right. Close that one. Close that one. Actually, 1 second. Mm, Okay. Now I'm going to open up your files. Start with this one first. So that's opened. Okay, here we go. Okay. This is more for my channel. Okay. So okay. So let's see here. Okay. So first of all, we're going to look into your past. Okay. And I'll show us, I'm going to explain why this is important because
Okay.
the past is going to show you exactly what you need to also bring in, what you're bringing into this life. Okay. So let's see here. Okay. So I looked at a bunch of stuff here. So we're looking into what's called the South Node. You're not going to really see it clearly here. But if I go into, hold on, let's close this one. It's that one that looks like this. This little thing here. And what that signifies is not just your past life, but past lives. Okay, so based on what I saw here, it was in 10 degrees Pisces. So generally what that means is that you have had lots of past lives where you're very highly spiritual. You have this experience of very, like you're very also very accepting and loving and very flowing. Okay. You had a lot of experience with being many things. It could be a priest, it could be a magician, it could be um you could also have been into drugs, or you could have had addictions. You could have also been a servant of some sort. Anything usually spiritual. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Very spiritual. Okay. Highly intuitive. Okay. So you bring that into this life. You're very you have this intuition. You have the connection actually. Okay. You're also very emotional. There's a lot of emotions that's coming through from the past as well. It's very water. Pisces is water. And if you know about the elements in
Yeah.
Western astrology, in Western classical theory and philosophy, you have the four elements, right? Fire, earth, air, water. That's the
Okay.
order, right? The seasons are different. The seasons, just those are just the seasons. But fire, air, earth, water is a transition, the flow of the elements in and back and continuously, continuous. Okay. Um, it could also have been that you had, let me look deeper into Pisces here. So Pisces is a very soft energy, very gentle, very loving, right? So you could also have been, let's double check here. I'm gonna cheat a little bit. A medical stuff here. So you could have also had. So I don't like to memorize things. I'm not one of those astrologers that remembers everything because I don't want to. It's tiring. I don't want to do that. Okay. So let's see here. So I know that for sure, like there's something about your nervous system. In the
Okay.
past, you might have gone through a lot of like nervous tensions, nervousness, but also something to do with the feet. You're probably walking a lot in the past, or in the past lives, you were very much like very active. But you could also have been like a swimmer or loved water. Like you're good in the water.
Okay. Nice.
Hmm. Um, you also have what do you call this? There's a bunch of biological parts here that I don't know myself. Okay. It's called the what is this here? So Pisces governs the feet. So feet is just means that it's yeah, so the anything to do with the feet area. The feet, the ankles, that not really the ankles, kind of, right? So something to do with like being active, running, escaping. You're used to also Pisces is also known to escape
Oh,
reality. Okay, going
oh,
to fantasy, going to fantastic things like could be movies, it could be drugs, it could be alcohol, it could be sex, uh it could be spirituality, it could be religion, it could be any of that stuff. Any form of escapism, right? That's a Pisces thing. A
all right.
little, yeah, and Pisces also tends to be like indecisive. It goes like this, it flows all the time. So the word here is vacillating. So Pisces tends to vacillate. Do I do this? Do I do that? Do I do this? Do I do that? There's also a sense of subservience with Pisces. You tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. You tell me. Because Pisces has a lot of faith. There's a lot of faith in Pisces. There's a lot of forgiveness as well. So you carry from those abilities, any of those things from the past, your soul wants you to bring the ones that will resonate with you, the ones that will help you in this life. So one of those things is being kind and gentle and loving, also being elevated and connecting, but also what's the other one? Appreciating reality in many ways that is not necessarily like one-sided. Because Pisces tends to have an idealistic view. So what that means for you is one of the gifts is to embrace differences in others. Okay. So um that's the gift you bring in. You're very open and flexible. On a physical level, okay, it's the lymphatic nodes. I don't know where the lymphatic system is. It's something to do here, like the lymph nodes, something about the hormones that's tied to Pisces. Okay.
Lymphatic.
Um,
What was that? Lymphatic?
lymphatic system. Yeah, the lymphatic system.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me double check here. Um, yeah, the lymph nodes. Oh, okay. The thoracic duct and lymph nodes of the armpit are powerfully influenced by Pisces as well. So here, so something about that. Okay, so something to do with the passive. I'm being general right now, even though I'm saying a lot. It's still general. Okay.
Okay.
Um, there's also the intracellular fluids inside the cells, and the cellular membranes. Okay, that's kind of part of it. There's something else here. It's again, permeability. Okay, so it is the like I said, nervous system, but also the parasympathetic nervous system. So that we the one that is inactive, the one that is subconscious. So um so it's also about sleep. So your Pisces is known for its subconscious behaviors of sleep. Pisces, I don't know. I think you're good at regenerating. Okay. You're good at taking time to process things, to heal. Um, Sleep is one of those things that I would say you do well. Watch out that you don't oversleep, of course, right? Or below that. If you
Okay.
sleep too much or if you sleep too little, that's another thing, right? Um, I'll explain how this is tied to your success. Okay, I'll explain. Dreaming. Okay.
Yeah.
Dreaming is another thing. So watch out for like when you're dreaming, like, are you daydreaming? Watch out for those things. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Um, there's also, one second. It's called the omentum and the peritonium. I don't know what that is. Something about the intestines in the gut.
Okay.
Okay. Because Pisces is connected to the nervous system. So nervous system is kind of in the solar plexus area, this here, down here, right? So that makes sense why it's good to learn from that. So the feet, lymphatic system, and the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland, I believe, is in the brain somewhere here. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But it's also kind of tied to the pineal gland, the third eye. You know about this, the chakras,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's a pineal gland, that's Pisces. That's
Oh,
also that's also Aquarius, but it's also Pisces. Um, yeah. So Pisces is influenced by two planets in Western astrology. Okay.
okay.
There's Neptune, and then there is Jupiter. So Neptune uh was in 0 degrees Aquarius here. So that actually adds to the nervous system deal. Okay. But then looking at your Jupiter, oh, Jupiter is right here, also in Pisces. So you have a lot of air, water in your past. So what that means is that you probably kind of talked a lot in past lives. You're very, maybe possibly like an inventor. You're probably very unique. You had your unique beliefs that many people may not have believed. So we don't know yet.
Oh,
Okay, I'm going to look at the asteroids, what that is. Okay, so in a past life, there's several things here. It's jumbled up right now. Okay, but I'm seeing here several things. There's what did I see earlier? Tied to your north node, you have Circe and also Penelope. That's the biggest one. So Circe as an asteroid is was I tie it to the mythology of Circe. Circe was technically like a sorceress or a witch. So, and you may or may not believe this, but you dealt with magic of some sort in a past life.
oh,
Yep. And I'm also going to look into my cheat sheet here. Like I said, I don't memorize things. So you worked with charms as well, some kind of magic. Any sort of changing that you needed to do. So you worked with a lot of things that were about changes, having boundaries as well. You kind of like to also be by yourself. You were isolated, you were secluded, because that's what felt good. That's what resonated with you. Okay. You probably also had unexpressed power. Um, you didn't show it to others. You're very kind of like, but you also worked with channeling. So you work with spirit guides, angels, okay, energy, universal consciousness, all that stuff. It could be many things. It could be you could work with unicorns, you could have worked with dragons, you could have worked with any sort of energy channeling, that kind of stuff. Um, you also probably had like this passive aggressive life or different lives. Again, it could be any of them. Okay. I
okay.
can't pinpoint right now what they are, but in several of your lives, you could have had that. Okay. Um, of course, like I said, you're very forgiving, so you have that as well. So even though people may have ostracized you, like kicked you out, or even killed you, sorry to say, I don't know
Okay.
yet. Okay, I don't know yet. You allowed, it's okay. You're very forgiving about that. So your soul was you carried that energy from your past lives.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how long you've been on as a human being. I don't know how long you've been as a human being. I don't know the numerology of your chart, of your what you call your life path. If your life path is in a higher number, that means you've been here for a very long time. Not just
Oh,
as a human, but also other beings, animals, creatures, whatever. You've been here for a long time. Okay, so I don't know your life path yet. I don't know it yet. Okay, that's numerology.
okay.
Um, what else is here? Uh, you're probably also like a female or a feminine person. Um, but you were kind of also aggressive about it. You wanted your own, like you said, boundaries, right? Okay. You also worked with anything that made you feel powerful. Okay, finding your inner power. You worked with those kind of things. You protected yourself quite a lot. You probably also worked with necromancy or resurrection, bringing back people from the dead, or not literal dead, but could be like bringing back people from their lost self and then bringing them back and also empowering them as well. So that
Okay.
could have been that too. So you could have been also like a priest. You could have been a magician. You could have been a spiritual guide. You could have been any sort of that kind of person who empowered people as well. Okay. You probably worked with animals, not just in a magical sense, but you probably worked with animals, namely lions, wolves. Okay, but you'll probably also have worked with gifted children. Okay, so very special children, very skilled, okay, very smart, very intelligent, high IQ, high EQ. Okay.
Okay.
Um, you could also have been adopted yourself, because it says here that you're isolated, so you might have been also adopted. You probably were like a foster child or a foster parent. Okay. Um, so yeah, you could have also been like this alpha woman, where, like I said here, it feels like you were a woman in a past life, in one past life. You had shiny hair. Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of the things about it. Um, you probably also like singing. I don't know if you liked singing in the current past life, in this life. If you like singing, that's part of it. So that's part of your past life gift. You know how to sing.
Uh,
Okay. Um, you worked with dragon energy, archangels, the higher realms, like really high.
Okay.
Like, okay. Um, what else is there? You probably either, or you could also have been like a trap, someone who set traps of some
Uh,
kind. Okay, maybe a hunter of some kind. Okay.
oh,
Yeah.
hunting. Nice.
Uh-huh.
Nothing, nothing.
Okay, 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 okay. So,
Yeah.
um, you probably also worked with light energy. So light language, so intergalactic stuff, aliens, people call it aliens, but I like the word intergalactic now.
Okay.
Um, if it's something about your passing, and maybe in some of your past lives, you could have been intoxicated or poisoned. Okay. Um, but you did work with pure substances. You liked working with pure, I don't know, elixirs, potions, those kind of things. You could have been also killed for treachery or punished or ostracized for treachery, treason. Okay.
Okay.
So you definitely work with potions, spells. Also, you could also have been a doctor. You could also have been some kind of doctor, an actual doctor today, like a modern doctor, or some kind of medicine person, medicine man. Okay. Um, you were also possibly a medium. Okay. So you connected between the living and the dead. So it's like I practice mediumship. So you probably also experience a near-death experience, okay, where you were probably resuscitated, brought back to life. Or you could have been also some kind of either a nurse, a doctor, or an EMT. You know those ambulance people? Yeah, could have also worked like that. Okay. Um, but we're going to go into Penelope here. So Penelope is all about loyalty. So you're very like you know how to hold out. That's one of your gifts. You're very you're very loyal. Okay. At least that's one of the gifts of your past lives. Uh, Maybe you also worked with things that, or you also kind of live life as if it was like, if it was good enough, that's fine. You kind of just went along with things. If it was good, that's fine. But you also kind of were special. You had a unique gift about you. You had a lot of focus and concentration. Like you were able to focus a lot. Okay. You believed also in purity. You're very patient. You're very committed. Like I said, very loyal, but also very faithful. Okay, till the end of time, till old age. Okay. But you were also kind of probably stubborn, like very rigid, right? Maybe to a certain extent. Okay. Um, you were also probably like had people compete with each other. Like you kind of like tested people on who could win you, right? That kind of explains the whole like Cersei thing that maybe you kind of were testing people. You had boundaries and you said, who among you is worthy kind of thing, right? You kind of also attracted people to you. You wooed them. There was seduction there as well. Eroticism. Okay. So probably, I don't know, some kind of seductress. I don't know. Okay. I'm not saying that you were a prostitute, but maybe, or a sex worker, or maybe you were just very, very, very attractive. Okay. And people just, gravitated towards you. Okay. All right. And what else was there? Um, you're probably also very like not just attractive as a woman, but also as a man, right? Because it always shows your manhood. You probably had a lot of lust or hunger or sexual cravings, or you could have just wanted to show your strength. You wanted to, maybe you were a bodybuilder or some kind of like model. Okay. Again, attractive, right? Um, you're very mysterious in the past. Okay. And that's one of the things about you today too. You're very mysterious. Like right now, I can tell right away your energy. You're very quiet, right? So you're very like, just tell me. It's very it's very mysterious. Okay. There's a mystery about you as well. Okay. But you're also kind of maybe like a sort of like maybe you traveled the seas. Maybe you were a sailor. You like discovering things. Okay. Either a sailor or something with ships, or you traveled quite often. You like mysterious things. Okay. Um, you probably also like things that are like games, tricks, things that are challenging. Um, so you like to work with strategy. You like to be crafty, maneuvering. That ties in with Cersei. So there's manipulation. So you kind of maybe manipulated what you want. So to get what you wanted, you manipulated situations or people or governments, maybe. I don't know. But it's could something to do with manipulation. It's not exactly bad, okay? Manipulation means that you are doing it so that you have advantage for yourself, right? But again, these are past lives, so anything could have happened. Okay. Maybe you're also kind of also impulsive. Um, you didn't like sitting around. Okay. You're bored. Okay. Mm, maybe you had different types of marriages throughout different lifetimes. Some were really like good marriages. Some were like not so good. Like there were false marriages. Like you just went into it because maybe you were made to go into the marriage. I don't know. Okay. Um, There's possibly like a lot of delays that happened to in the past. Okay. Uh, you probably also went into knitting or cross stitching, weaving, sewing, threads, yarn, textile, fabric, clothing. Okay. Or work with arts and crafts. Okay. Again, you had definitely had a lot of suitors and admirers. I feel like that's a strong one. You had a lot of people coming to you, very attractive, right? People coming to you, but you had your boundaries, right? Um, so you probably, yeah, it shows here. Traditional marriage, wedding vows, marriage or remarriage. Maybe you got married several times in one life. Um, you were probably into an arranged marriage. Okay. You could also have been a widow or widower. Okay. Um, or you could also have been involved in mating rituals, some kind of exhibition, or maybe not necessarily exhibition as in exhibition of like sexual things, but exhibition like an art exhibit. Okay. Showing things, performing. That's part of that as well. Okay. Mm, you probably could have lived in a society that was corrupt, maybe, or the opposite. Okay. Uh, any sort of scams or cover-ups, maybe you were involved in it, or the opposite as well. Okay. There was a lot of hidden things. There was like, sketchy things. There was probably also like corroboration, subterfuge. Okay. Any deformities you might have had in some lives have had like deformities or like some kind of like surgery involved, stitching. Maybe you had an accident, bandages, gauzes, so something to do with that. Mm, either you were in a monogamous relationship or a non-monogamous relationships as well. You could also have been pansexual. Okay, we don't know. Unless you see it in a dream or a vision, unless you access past lives, you'll know. Okay. Um, you also lived through old age. That's a thing. That's a common one, I think. You lived quite a long time in a lot of your past lives. I feel like that's what it is. I feel like you lived old till old age in many of your lifetimes. Um, let's see here. You could also have been a beggar, someone homeless, or you worked with homeless people. You could also have been a slave owner or a slave yourself, a servant. Okay. You could also have worked in groups. Okay. In the government, you probably worked with the defense. What do you call that? Defense. I don't know what it's called. Defense, department, whatever. Okay. You probably wore a lot of like cloaks. You probably were like in a hood or something like that, disguises. Maybe you work in theater. You like wearing masks, decoys, those kind of things. Costumes. You like wearing makeup, kind of like, acting, dressing up, whatever. Okay. Let's see here. You could also have been highly educated. You had a specialty or a specialization in education. Okay. Um, could also have been some sort of teacher where you assessed people. You gave exams, like you were kind of an examiner of some sort. Okay. Or you worked with the police to verify IDs, governments looking for evidence. You enjoyed puzzles, games, like I said before, something about games. You could have just been a regular person who was like an interviewer. Okay. You liked winning. Okay. You could also have worked with poison. That's a common one. Cersei is works with poison. So somehow
Yeah.
there's something to do with poison or venom. Okay. Okay. You could also have been an archer. So bow and arrow. That might have been something. Or someone with the gun with guns, lasers. Maybe that's a future life. No, that's not. That's his past life. Something to do with like lasers of something. I feel like lasers is more to do with a different non-Earth life you've had, like an intergalactic species life.
Okay.
Um, something to do with invasions. If you were an invader, a conqueror of something, or you were conquered or invaded. Okay. Or you could have worked as a garbage collector. You worked with the government, the city, or something like that. I don't know. Or you were banished as well. I feel like there's something about banishments there as well. Like you were something to do with being ostracized, separated, secluded, something to do with that. I'm going to look into the other asteroids here. Okay. Um, could it, yeah, I feel like that's tied to, I see here Bella. Bella was in 2 degrees Pisces. That's probably more of like your life now. Um, if you ever worked in the beauty industry, I feel like you have, right? Am I right?
No, no,
No? No?
no,
Something? Okay. Let me see.
not yet.
Not yet. That's fine. Uh, oh, because I didn't do that asteroid. Something about, okay, that's fine. Something about beauty. I don't know what it is. It could be anything beautiful. It could be anything, because it's tied to Mercury and Isis is there. It's not your past life necessarily, but it is kind of tied to it. It can be tied to it. So Isis is about devotion. She was the wife of Osiris, right? She also worked with magic. She helped build things. She was about acceptance. She was about um destiny. She had foresight and premonitions. Like you do have that. You have that gift. Um so she worked with spells, love spells, something about sexual attraction as well. So it's tying into your past life as well. So I feel like it is tied to that. Something about protection, something about, you're very much like that kind of, it's almost like you can be like this protector of people or someone when it comes to specifically like friends. This is in the 11th house. So when it comes to friendships that you've had, you're very loyal to your friends. And
Yeah.
this is exactly what you brought in from your past life. You're very loyal to also like the person you work for, the income you get from them. Okay, any community or groups that you're in, this is what it is. Any sort of aspirations you may have, any sort of like things you want to accomplish in a very logical way, you're very committed to that. Okay, very patient about it as well. Um, you kind of like to feel your way into it as well. You like to have some sort of like not magic within it as well. Okay. So this is just like tied to your Mercury. So because it's tied to your Mercury, it's all about like your communication. So you're very forgiving when you speak. You're very like I already sensed that right away. I'm just like, is he a Pisces? And I was just like, it feels like that. I was like, okay. Um, so Uh, what else is there? Um, 1 second. Yeah, you're very healing. You have a very healing way of talking. I don't know if anybody ever told you that. You have
Yeah.
a very healing. Okay. Um, you have premonitions, you have visions, you have foresight, you have psychic abilities. Okay. Even when you speak or when you sense things, you can see things. I would say you're highly intuitive, so you can. I'm not sure where your Horus is. Actually, I'm going to look into and go to the website, and I'm going to go into your chart here. Okay. Actually, I have it. No, you know what? I'm just going to look it up separately. I work with a lot of charts
Oh,
because like specific. I mean, in just for just one person, I work with a lot of charts. Let's see here. Horus was in Scorpio for you. Oh, you have when you close your eyes, you see a lot of things. You see a lot of images.
Never tried that.
Okay. So when you close your eyes now, let's say, for example, let's give it a
Yeah.
try. I'm kind of curious. I'm just curious, okay? Do you see a lot of images?
Mm. Just
Like when I
something
see,
like flashing something.
uh-huh, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
But not the proper image, some sort of pattern or design, you can say flashing.
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's normal. Yeah. If you work on that, which will come naturally to you,
Okay. But
you can actually,
meditation?
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
Through the meditation?
not just meditation. You can start with meditation. You just go into it, you allow for it, you breathe, follow the breath. Whatever comes will come.
Okay.
So if you were to look at something right now, do you have a what do you have beside you?
Uh, Beside me?
Yeah, anything natural?
Uh,
Flower, pots, anything natural?
no, actually, I am in the basement.
Okay, that's fine. Let's
Yeah.
look into, okay. Can you see the wall? Do you see something like a wall, an image? Any sort of very plain image?
No, nothing.
Okay, do you see, okay, but do you see more? Okay, I want you to look at, let's try this exercise. Try to look at like the wall, like just plain wall.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try this one. I'm gonna test it, okay? Um, and just stare at it. Don't think about anything. Just relax, breathe through it. When you see the wall, right? Don't think of it as a wall. Think of it as just like whatever. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Close your eyes. Can you describe the wall? When I say describe, as in whatever comes to you, let it happen. Whatever words you use, it doesn't matter. What do you see?
Some something silver thing. Some
Sure. Okay.
yeah,
Keep
silver.
going.
Either it was silver or something flashing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? Keep going. Have fun with it. Just relax. Have fun with it. Don't believe the don't don't sorry. Don't believe what your head is saying. Whatever comes out will come out. That's a message. That's something. It means something.
I saw something red and black, some
Yeah. Yeah.
type
There you
of
go.
lights.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see that? It's coming through.
So what
Okay.
does that mean? Black and white lights blinking?
Uh, it could be anything. It could be a light. It could be your emotions. It could be someone else's emotions. You could probably be picking up from me. It's a psychic thing, right? Because you were okay. Because your chart here shows you were a medium in your past life, one of
Okay.
your past lives. So you have it. It's there. You just have to tap into it. I started the same way. Um, when I was just like, I used to get, for me, it was much stronger. It got stronger later in years, but I didn't think of it as anything. I just thought, oh, I'm highly imaginative. Like, no, it's not. It's not only that. It is imagination, but imagination is beyond thought. Imagination can go beyond that. When the moment it becomes like intuition, and then it goes into psychic and then medium and then channeling, is because there's a quantum energy flow between the density of this reality and then which where we would truly come from. This reality is reality, yes, but it is a physical reality. Okay,
Yeah.
it's carbon based. It's this. Okay, that's that reality. But that's not all there is. No, because you have this ability. You worked with energy before, you can do it again. You just have to tap into it. It could be your sight, it could be clairvoyance, it could be if you're smelling something, if you're feeling something in your mouth, you're telling, I did not eat anything. What is that? What am I tasting? Or if you sense something physically, it feels like physical sensation, but it's not. It's energy. Or if you just have this inner knowing, you're like, oh, I just know that. Or there's another, these are clairs. These are called clairs. There's eight. There's eight of them. So far, as far as we know, there's eight of them. So you could have any of them. I feel for you because your Horus is in Scorpio. You have clairsentience, I believe. Like you can
Okay.
feel it in your body. If you feel something and you don't know what it is, just like, what is that strange feeling? What is that? I feel warm. I feel cold. I feel like this something burning here, something or something with my teeth or something. Anywhere in the body. That's clairsentience. But it's tied to your Mercury. So I feel like it's tied to your taste. Uh, because it's pineal gland, it's also tied. You probably have clairvoyance like me, but you also have clairsentience, but you probably also have clairempathy, like you feel what others are feeling. It's not
Yeah.
just empathy, it's not just being an empath, it's stronger. You can actually feel what they're feeling. Do you have that?
I believe that I am very weak emotionally. So that's
Yeah.
why I can, relate their problem.
Yes. So you have okay, so I can sense right away. Okay, so
Yeah.
clear empathy. You probably most likely have clear empathy. But
Yeah.
that means that you also have clear sentience, which means that you feel physically something. But because of your past as a medium, and one of them at least one of them,
Okay.
you can tap into not just psychic energy, but higher, it's like mediumship, where you now relate with some messages coming through. A spirit is connecting with you. But don't just go into mediumship just like that. You have
Okay.
to prepare for it. Because if the spirits see that you're fully open, they will come to you and send you a message while you're sleeping. You don't want that.
So, yeah.
Right? You want to do the proper energy clearing. It's your intention, really. It doesn't matter whether you're using like a crystal or some sort, or you are using smudging or incense, or just your intention, meditation, right? You can do all those things. It's intention. All of it is intention. So if you you're, with mediumship, you can't, you have to They can't just come in. They'll
Okay.
send messages. They'll be like, they'll give you images. You're like, I'm trying to sleep. What am I? No, you don't want that, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But emotionally, yeah, you are very sensitive. You're highly sensitive. I can sense. I know. Yeah, it's a Pisces thing. Um, let's say here. Yeah, you definitely fluctuate. Like you have here Ubasti, which is Bastet. Bastet was a goddess in Egyptian mythology. Okay. 6 degrees Avasti. So that means that you fluctuate between emotions, ups and downs, hot, cold, anger, soft, your anger, happy kind of thing. You're used to that. But let's go into we're gonna go into the your North Node after this, okay? There's other
Okay.
things too that you do work towards. You have all these trials and tribulations that you go through in life. Or you did at least in your past life, and you kind of still do that sometimes, maybe in this life. Okay. Or you're hardworking, or at least
So
you work through. It feels like maybe you're hardworking, but you also feels like you are like you have to.
yeah.
Okay. So we have Heracles. Okay. You're learning, you know how to be courageous. You have strength, you have tenacity. Okay. But you also have anger. But it's like you don't really express it. Okay. Um, but yeah, so you go through a lot of these trials and tribulations. That's part of Heracles, right? If you know about the mythology of Heracles, you know that he went through 12 uh, labors. That's kind of the same thing. You
Oh,
actually, yeah, you could, the 12 labors represent the 12 zodiac in Western astrology, from Aries all the way to Pisces. So you feel a lot of those things. So sometimes you're this, sometimes you're that, sometimes you're this, sometimes you're that, something. So there's a lot of emotional energy, energetic, and emotional, mental, spiritual fluctuations for you.
okay.
So that's why it's easy to do that. But now what you're being called to do is you're being called to ground yourself. Okay. You're being called into grounding yourself through an earth energy. You have here Virgo. The thing about it is that in your chart, I see here what's called an intercepted sign. It's just a name. Okay. You don't need to know what that means. But intercepted really, how I'm going to describe it here is that this part of your life, when it comes to communities, groups that you're in, social groups, friends, non-emotional relationships, uh, money that you earn from your employer, sorry.
Mm.
Um, you've had to kind of like a block there. It feels like you haven't really understood what this is. Like you can shine naturally within groups, but you don't. You feel like you're not really recognized,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So there's that interception. Intercepted signs, intercepted houses means like this is one of those things where you feel like it's either very, very quiet or there's no expression of it. But it's part of your past life. So you feel like you don't have access to your past lives. So one of the keys to this, I believe, personally for me, is that it's somehow something you have to um, both trust as part of your journey, but also at the same time, you can work towards it. An intercepted house, it's a tricky. At least that's the way I understand it. I'm not really sure how to work with intercepted houses. I don't have one in my chart. So, um, but if it's not expressed, it doesn't mean that it's not there. It just means that um, you have to look further within.
Okay.
Okay. Um, so again, so you're being called to be. to be actually you're being called to share your experiences from your past lives in this life. But to know that, you have to go deep within. You have to go into your subconscious. So not just, yes, it's through meditation, but deep meditation and getting those like what you've learned and sharing that with others.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your nodes are tied to both your um, sense of individuality, your sense of uniqueness. These are the houses of uniqueness and difference and being special. Okay. The 11th house and the 5th house, ruled by Aquarius and Leo, often represent uh, things we tend to, things that make us not only unique, but shine as well. So to do that, like if you think about a light bulb that doesn't shine, how do you make a light bulb shine? Don't you put more
Uh,
energy into it,
okay.
right? So you have to feed it. In other words, you have to feed that energy. You have to, but it shouldn't be like a task. It shouldn't be like an obligation, a task, or something you have to do. It's something that you feel like you want to do. Okay? But shining doesn't necessarily mean being recognized by others. If you recognize yourself,
Yeah.
right? If you go through the process of um, both healing any of the past stuff, so shadow work is a good one, shadow work, um, but also enjoying what you can do in the moment. It's not even about doing, it's not doing at all, it's being. And so we'll talk more about that after here, after this one. Okay. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, so being called to be kind of like a teacher in this life, you're being called to, your soul wants you to uh, share that knowledge. It wants you to be a little bit more technical, wants you to be more grounded, getting the facts straight instead of being like, oh, like, whatever, right? Really focusing on honing in on that, whatever you're experiencing, whatever facts you get from that, but actually experiencing it. You're here to actually experience things, and you're also being called towards actual service because in the past, you refused service. You wanted to do your own thing. You wanted to be more like, I'm spiritual. No, 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 I want to do that, all that stuff, right? But that's probably why you're not shining in this life because you're so used to being isolated. You're not connecting with people. You're not growing because in past lives you kind of just like you hid yourself, hid yourself, hid yourself, on and on. It kept happening, it kept happening. So now it's like, nope, get out of the box, get out of it, get out of it. Okay. So this in this life you're being called to challenge yourself with many, 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 many things. Okay. One of them is to discover your uh, gifts and skills that you take for granted. You have here coronas, unexplored talent. Okay. So it could be anything that you kept secret to yourself, anything that you protected, any wounds that you need to heal. Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
here you're being called to follow your heart, but you doubt that, right? You doubt a lot of this. Cronus is here in retrograde. Cronus is retrograde in your chart here.
Okay.
So that means that you doubt a lot of these things. You doubt that you have these gifts, that you have these abilities. You had insecurities about it. Right? You fear being seen. You actually fear being seen by people. You're also a late bloomer when it comes to gifts and talents and abilities.
Late
Um,
bloomer, what that
yeah,
means?
late bloomer. You're coming into your gifts quite late.
Uh, yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. So you have latent abilities. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're also being called to learn to uh inform others, like I told you, like kind of like a teacher. You're informing teachers, informing people of what you're sharing, right? But first you have to heal yourself. First you have to find a way to, how do I open up this shyness? How are you um where's that shyness coming from? So one of the tricks to doing this is shadow work. I would suggest to you, as you learn through all this stuff, do shadow work.
Okay.
Um, Go through Teal Swan stuff. Put in here, Teal Swan, Teal Swan. Look at her stuff. She'll look at her videos. She talks a lot about these things. She talks a lot
Uh,
about shadow
Shadow
work.
work. Okay.
Shadow work, shadow, the word shadow came from Carl Jung's um, usage of that word. It's a part of ourselves that we refuse to accept. It's the one that we suppress, deny, neglect, avoid, reject, suppress, and just bury because it's too scary, it's too painful, it's too traumatic, right? It's too much, but we have to face it. The way to do that is doing it little by little, incrementally. Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, but shadow work will help with that. Shadow work comes in many forms. Um, but typical shadow work is an example would be when we're doing this, right? Pointing fingers at others. You know that thing, that saying, 3 point back at you.
Yeah.
That's the phenomena of projection. As humans, we project onto others. Oh, he's stupid. Oh, he's smart. Either way, he's stupid. Oh, he's smart. Um, he's an arrogant person. He's an arrogant asshole, or he's a very honorable, respectful person. Either way, either shadow is tied to polarity. Being
Okay.
human means we live in polarity. We live in a duality. We believe that there's good and bad. But the shadow shows that you need to integrate both because that's not really reality. The real reality of universe is all encompassing. Universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is all encompassing. It's unconditional. So the only reason why there's evil, first of all, is because there's a desire or a basic need that hasn't been met through childhood. The shadow develops through childhood from the ages of 0 to about 7 or 8. We bury things subconsciously and we don't know we're doing this. We're burying it. And what's happening is the reason why we're doing it is because we want to please our parents or
Yeah.
guardians, whoever. Because to us as children, they are gods. So we have to, in order for us to survive, in order for us to gain their approval, in order for us to be happy, we do what they want. And we suppress what they think, what we believe is not according to them, like not according to what they want. Sorry. So actually, I want to go into this right now because I think this is important to your success. When I say success, it's not just a money thing. Okay, money is just money. It's a tool. Growing up, growing up,
Yeah.
you've had a lot of very uh like controlling environment. Okay, you have here your descendant in Scorpio, and what that means is that there's a lot of control, there's a lot of manipulation, a lot of maybe deceit, control, power struggles, lies, or abuse. Okay, trauma that's related to this. It's Scorpio is a heavy energy. So what happened was you went into your ascendant, you wanted to show others, no, you're very simple, you are not complicated, you are very kind and giving, and you want it to be grounded. You want to show the world you're grounded. But what happens is that you rejected this part of yourself, that your dark side. You rejected that your dark side, or a part of you rejected your dark side. Subconsciously, you were doing this subconsciously or unconsciously. They're kind of almost the same, but not really. So what happened was we rejected a lot of that. And so what happens is you might, until today, you might still attract people who are controlling, manipulative, deceitful, angry, narcissistic, um, very like that. Like they try to manipulate you. So you get a lot of that in your life, and it's actually part of your wounding as well. You have Chiron in Scorpio, so a lot of your wounding comes from your sense of power, your sense of real power, which is inner power, which is real power comes from death. When I say death, I mean release, because universe, within us, you are universe manifested through physicality, the physical form. You are universe as part of that. You and I, he, she, they, all of us are fragments of the universe. I'll explain what I mean by that. Maybe next time, maybe later. But what the point is, every human goes through wounding, trauma. When you're born, that is a traumatic experience because it's a shock. A trauma is a shock. It's like, right, that's a shock. Right? It's just like, that's why babies cry, or if they don't cry, it's buried in. There's an emotional traumatic experience, and it actually affects the nervous system. So your wounding comes from that, not being able to have power, or either power or like a real sense of like, I know what I want, I know what I'm saying myself. Your wounding comes from that. But through that lack of power, that's where you can integrate that into yourself and say, what gifts come from lack of power? Humility, kindness, compassion, um, high intuition for you, right? Because you have those things, right? So that's the wounding. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's very much correlated.
Yeah. So
I can
yeah,
relate that things.
yeah. So yeah, a lot of it is your wounding comes from your nervous system as well. Like it's tied to the challenges you encounter with the unexpected changes in in life, in with people in general, people itself. This is the 10th house. So it represents people, the public, people you work for, or your workplace, your bosses, employer. It also reflects your reputation, so ego as well, right? Wanting to be right, wanting to prove something to the world. That is the 10th house. So your Chiron here is square Uranus. So a lot of the challenges you experience are tied directly to that. Anything unexpected, the changes in life, and people, like people being weird, right? People being unusual to you in your perception, right? The whole chart in astrology is our experience that our soul wanted us to go through in this life, and it's a perception. It's perception of this. We're playing a role. We're playing a role on. We're acting in this life. That's what it is. We're acting. So Uranus is also right at home right here. When you were born, it was right at home in Aquarius. Um, and what that means is that people are unpredictable to you. They're just like, I don't understand it, or like, and that's part of your wounding. Your wounding comes from like not being able to have that stability, right? But that's why as you grew older, as you got older, went from the age of 0 all the way to 8, and on and on and on, you're trying to show the world, this is who I am. This is who I am. I'm stable, I am certain, I know what I want, da, da, da. But really behind the curtains, behind all that stuff, it's like there's like, no, I'm not really sure of myself. No, I'm very much like there's trauma behind that. Okay. So I can understand because I felt that way too. So when I say I felt that way too, I mean my trauma comes from, well, it's not my trauma anymore. I've learned to let that go. I've learned to release a lot of that. The trauma I felt for me is tied to past lives, way, way before. So I'll explain more about that another time as well. Okay, so going back to this. So now I clarified that you're right. So your shadow, this is part of your shadow stuff. Um, and to work on finding what is power. Is it power over others? Right? There's a saying in, I don't know where it is. I think it's in Buddhism. There's a saying, they said that to conquer others is to something, 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 but to conquer yourself is to know the way, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, but you get the energy. You know what I'm saying, right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I understood.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I know. So another one here is that you also are being called to work through your actually before we continue, go back to coronas as well. So if you feel called to work with adopted children or foster homes,
Yeah.
that's yeah, unless you already do, great. Um let's see here. Something about any things, any sort of like unearthing and releasing the hidden. You want to release that. There's something hidden. So again, that's probably shadow work as well, working through their inner trauma, inner child healing. Um, you could do that. On a physical level, you probably have jobs where you worked for companies or something, an organization or someone where you worked, you brought out the underdog, things that were taken for granted. Um, could be like poor people as well.
Okay.
Okay. You could also, maybe you're doing something with medicine, something with healing, medicine, um, birthing, hospitals. Um, okay. Something to do with incisions as well. I don't know if you feel called to be a doula. A doula is someone who prepares someone for being pregnant, kind of like a
Oh,
midwife, a doula.
yeah. As a donor type of thing.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Um, you could also, again, like I said before, astrology is a language of probability, so it could be anything.
Okay.
Okay. You could also be, maybe you're interested, I'm not sure, towards anything that's resuscitating. So emergency medical EMTs, like the ambulance, stuff like that. If you've ever done that, or some kind of lifeguard or some kind of like first aid teacher.
Uh, for the regular purpose, I usually go to the plasma donation.
Yeah.
It can be twice in a month or twice in a month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So life support. Yeah. This
Yeah,
is what
life
it is.
sport, you can say one type
Yeah.
of.
Yeah. So you work with anything. Yeah. So you could have got into also like something related to nursing where you worked with life support systems. Okay.
Okay.
You could also, this was another possibility. You could have worked with something with surveillance, yeah.
Okay.
Cameras, surveillance, okay, those kind of stuff. Okay. Track records. You could also have been a teacher as well. So you did something with assessments, examinations, report cards, etc. A rescue and mission, like kind of like again, police or something like ambulance, again, rescue. That's related to that. Something to do with fire. Could also have been something to do with fire. Anything related to fire, or working in funeral home, but non-traditional funeral home, like where you work with fire, like a funerary, like an incinerator for people who want their bodies incinerated, like what's the word? Instead of buried, they want their bodies
Yeah,
cremated.
burn. Yeah,
Cremated.
cremation.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
so something like that, right? Uh, you could also have been working with something like anything pliable, working with objects that are pliable or twisting, something that are bending, something that's right. What else is here? He could have. I'm not saying you do this. He could have been an assassinator. I'm just kidding. It's here. It's part of it.
Okay, okay.
Um, or you could work with again something with the criminal system, a lawyer, a judge, a police officer, whatever, an investigator, whatever. Some kind of messenger as well. Could have also been some kind of messenger, which ties into the mediumship that we talked about, right? Because it's messages. You're giving messages. Any kind of messages too. Like could be messaging. Like you could work with Canada Post. I don't know. That's probably one of those other jobs. Milk. Working with milk. Not sure. You've ever done that before? Pasture. Working with pasture and animals. That's a past life thing. So if that's something that you got called somehow, again, or a possibility, right?
Okay.
Mhm. You could again like a police as well. You could work with guard dogs. So you could work in mountains. You could work in grasslands. Uh, you're also being called to do like backup plans. Have a backup. Have a backup of things. Plan, organize. Have a backup. It's kind of challenging because it is the North Node. This is your path forward. It's the unknown. It's like planning. Details. What? No. But
Mhm.
this is what you're learning. You're learning how to be
Yeah.
more detailed, not perfectionist, but just detailed, um, working more with technical things. Okay. But also working with, this is where probably you had some questions earlier back then, but working with international things, something related to international, but highly intuitive, highly lot, insightful sort of kind of energy. So yes, it's international stuff like multiculturalism. That's why you came to Canada.
Yeah.
Um, but there's also something about your insights and knowledge, creating creative power, intuition, very, very like high downloads. So it could be that you have the potential to be more than a medium. You can also be a channeler. I'm just saying, okay? But tying this also to the physical things that you could do, working with people, being asked to, if you love people, great. If you don't, then you're being called to appreciate that more. Okay. Um, uh, you're also being called to kind of be more like because of your past lives. Um, what do you call this? Sexual transmutation, working with sexual energy to make it tantra. You know tantra, right? So that tantric energy of using sexual energy, not that, so that you don't waste it. So if it's for love, if it's for anything creative, like a creative work, or children, that's a creative process too. Whatever it is, okay, it's creative. Creative doesn't just mean like art. No, 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 no. Creative could be anything you are actually building. It could also be things that you say. That's creative, right? So, um, but also working with still also can you will probably also still have issues with isolation and seclusion. So being called to open up to more of that, working with more people. Not a lot. You don't need to work with a lot. Maybe a little bit, bit by bit, right? Um, there's a potential that you could be single, okay, or be a single father or celibate. Something to do with eggs. You could also be working with eggs, something like anything fertility related. Eggs, fertility, life creation, um, potential rebirth, okay, starting over, okay, working with your intuition, your sixth sense. They call it, some people call it still today the sixth sense, okay. Um, sense of sight and smell. Okay, so I feel like you're okay. So it is. I feel like you're being called to work on your clairvoyance and your clairalience, which is smell, right here. So something to do with that. But again, also like I said, clairsentience. So
Okay.
you, if you're interested in birds, that's another thing too. Okay, birds. If you ever got into, it could be a hobby. Doesn't matter. Okay. Something about Easter, the season of Easter, or Easter Island. I don't know if you're drawn to Easter Island, or harvesting and collecting things. If you like collecting stamps or collection, you like collecting little trinkets, so that's probably something that you got interested in. Um, if you work with gemstones, like I do, I have lots of gemstones. That'll help you with your abilities. So that could be a collection as well. Okay. Friendships and companionship. So being open to that as well. Okay. So communicating. Okay. Being curious as well. That's one of your what your soul is asking you to do as well. This is where you'll have a feeling of abundance. You see there, abund right there, abundancia. That's just from the Latin form of abundance. Um, but also playing and being curious and sometimes being chaotic, sometimes being like, ugh, this is sort of, but work learning to work with the insecurities or the unpredictabilities of life. That's fine. And people might feel that you are too loyal. This is Desdemona right here. You might get misunderstood. You might get accused of something that you never really intended to do or did actually did. Um, but that's them. Right. That's why shadow work is so important. Shadow work is actually so important for all humans right now. Shadow work is very important because it's integrating. It's all about integrating. That's the universe. That's how God is. It's unconditional. Um, but Pandora here, I don't know if you know about Pandora, the
Uh,
mythology. Yeah,
no, no, I don't know.
that's okay. Pandora was the girl who had the Pandora's box and she opened it because she was curious, right? Innocence. She's all about innocence. But the thing is, like, that's fine. Um, it's okay to open a can of worms. We have that saying, opening a can of worms, meaning like, but you don't need to you don't need to argue or fight with anyone. It's just kind of like opening up these things, the possibilities of things, right? So, but it's all about working with abundance and generosity. You have those things too from your past life, right? Um, and you can how to use also your sense of your sexuality as well, sexual power, even just sex itself or your sexuality. Okay. Um, sometimes things can go chaotic and that's fine, right? You're also being called to work on, again, also the shadow work, which is duality as well, because shadow work learns to integrate the duality. It makes it one. Because we believe as humans that there's always light and dark, bad and good, male, female, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so, but that's okay. It's okay to have duality. We need duality to understand that everything is whole. Otherwise, how do we know what's whole if we don't have duality? You need to have separation to have whole. You need to have the dark in order to see light. You need to see, how do you know what tastes good if you don't know what tastes bad? Right? So that's integration. right? Understanding that there's a purpose behind the separation, right? So again, it ties back into gifted children. There's something about this as well. Gifted children, um, uh, something about storing things. I don't know if you like sources of information. You like storing information. You like, social media as part of this. Well, internet, books, libraries. Okay. Uh, that kind of stuff. Um, Special needs and gifted children is the one I think that's strong here, just like the sexuality as well. So working with that. The thing about the Virgo energy is the Virgo energy is all about purity, but sometimes it's so pure that it's just like Pisces. The shadow behind purity, the shadow of purity is it neglects impurity, right? Again, creates duality, right? So that's the whole part of this whole process. You need to work with your past and then work with your present. So in terms of what you're learning through, it's a lot of it is that chaos, working with the sexual energy, embracing your loyal side yourself, but also like what is this? What is being disloyal? What is that? Right? What is the gift behind that? This is shadow work right now. We're doing it right now. What is the gift behind disloyalty? Because instead of pointing at a person, you're disloyal, you're wrong, or you're making them separate. We can't do that anymore. We need to embrace that. Why do they have that pain? Why do they have that? Same for yourself. Why do I have that pain of like you labeling yourself? You're blaming yourself. You're calling yourself something. You are judging yourself. What is that? If you find the gift behind that thing, like what is being disloyal? Don't you just want independence? That's being disloyal, right? That's the gift behind the word disloyal. But you cannot work through shadow work through the mind alone. It has to be done deep into the subconscious through meditation for sure, right? Because the more you go into the subconscious, the more you go into the past as well. And then from here, you're going to learn inner wisdom, Minerva's wisdom here. You can't really see it, but that's what it is. There's also Thea here. Uh, Thea is inner power. See, same thing, same story. Okay. Sometimes you have to be your own mother. Sometimes you have to be the mother of others or being your own mother. I don't know if you're working through family stuff. Like, are you still,
No,
no? Okay.
no.
No, that's fine. Uh, hmm. Because it's in retrograde, a lot of it is like, again, working with your own shifting, like your own ability to adapt. Okay, that's Thea. Um, but when you doubt that, it's almost like you don't shift, you become stubborn. You become like very hard and it's like hard on yourself. And yeah, but you are being called towards that to be more flexible, to shift according to things, to kind of also what else is this here? To work on your inner light, okay? Find the support when you need it. If you're being given support, great. Okay. You said donations, that's part of Thea as well. Okay. But if you're doubting your giving to someone because you don't want to, I say don't do it. It has to be meaningful, right? So you have a lot of inner work to do. I noticed here. No? So you're working with higher frequencies, light language, light Like it's easy to work with the other things too. You could be working with light today, like sunlight, like sun energy, like solar energy, for example. I don't know if you did any, what was your 0 degrees in Aquarius? So you tended to switch, your job changes a lot, doesn't it? You have different
Um,
jobs.
no, I am in the food industry currently.
Let me
It's
see
been a
here.
year. I am in the food industry, and
Um,
it's been a year, I think. Yeah.
it's been a year. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see where your Saturn is. It's in. Oh, because it's tied to Neptune. Okay, got it. So, did you used to work by water when in the past, or did you? Feels like either your educational system, like if academic education is, but also tied to work, was tied to something with water,
Yeah.
fishing.
Actually, earlier I used to work in a water theme park. It's
Yeah,
kind of Wonderland.
yeah. So it's water. Yeah, right here. Well, not necessarily completely water, but yes, but
Yeah.
things that are also um, with people. It's with people. Any sort of water that's connected to people. Okay. But yeah. Anyways, let's see here. So yeah, being flexible is one of those things you're being called to. Okay. Adapting. So working with your pineal gland. So working with that higher intelligence. Okay. That's part of this as well. Um, working with many things, being open to the different kind of things in life, being curious. That ties in with the Virgo energy as well. Virgo is curious about the little things. Virgo is like little things. Virgo's rules real little things, little animals, little objects, trinkets, maybe it's also gemstones, by the way. Like I said, I knew that there was something about gemstones here. So if you work with gemstones, that might be fun for you. Cleo. Oh, so right. Yeah, psychic abilities is also part of this. Sorry. High frequency, so sight, your vision, psychic abilities, premonitions, dreams. Okay. The again, I feel like for you, it's all three, psychic, medium, channeling. Right? So yeah. I don't see divination here though. The tarot cards, I don't see divination here. But let's take a look further. Okay. Hold on one second. Suppose. Again, it's something to do with adoption as well. So that's why you work. I don't know if you've ever been curious about working with adopted children. Unless, let me double check. One second. It could be because you have planets on your first house right here. And if it was in Gemini or it's in Taurus, let's take a look. You got Sedna in, you got Sedna 13 degrees, 58 minutes. Diana is, no. So it's almost like you don't want children, like you don't need to have children. Yeah. Because said Diana is about like boundaries, but Diana is like Artemis, goddess of the hunt, um, survival. So sacred spirituality, sexuality, timelessness. She's about timelessness as well. The fourth dimension. So timelessness. There is the past, the present, the future, all into one. And I know it's a little weird, but I think you get it though. But she's also about women's rights. But she's also about, for you, it's more not so much about women's rights, more about virginity. Okay, autonomy. That's why I said you don't really want children. Children is not the thing for you. But adopting, like not adopting, but adoption, places of adoption, like you can help with those. You don't necessarily need to have your own, right? Yeah. But you also have Sedna, something about fat. I'm just saying, okay? So, and that's okay. That means that Sedna is not necessarily about fat, but Sedna is about allowing for the abundance of life. That's why fat. That's why there's fat, right? Fat is just it's just extra energy. That's what it is, right? Fat is just
Yeah.
extra energy. Exactly. So um it's also working with foreigners. So I feel like there's something tied to the Make thing, tied to your North Node. It's working with foreigners. It's working with different things, adapting as well. Forgiveness. She's also about forgiveness. She's actually about also what is that one? Metamorphosis. She's tied to what did I see earlier? Thea as well. Something about metamorphosis, meaning like you're really changing, but also on a physical level. So whatever you go through that you experience, that you learn from, specifically the little changes that happen, because this is Virgo, it'll change you physically as well. So it could be the energy work that you do. It could be, let's go back here. It could be what did I see here? Uh, yeah, just the little transformations that happens through your body. Um, so Sedna will form that as well. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see here. So trusting unconditionally, how to let go, accept. But acceptance doesn't just come from like, oh, just do with me what you will. That's not good. No. Acceptance doesn't mean that you become like a doormat and someone beats on you. No. Sedna means what that means is acceptance is like, if you cannot control it, let it go. If you have power over it, like you can do it yourself, meaning like your emotions, if you have power over your emotions, your mind, what you say, how you say things, your energy, how you feel, it's not about suppressing or letting it go. It's holding it and saying, that's okay. You can be exactly where you are, and that's okay. That's real love. Unconditional love is very accepting like that. That's really accepting. It's like, that's okay. If a child needs to cry, they need to cry. Cry. Because if they don't do that, what happens is then there's a trauma, there's that suppression, and then becomes you carry that over to adult life. That's exactly what's been happening with humanity for the past 100,000 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is shadow work, part of shadow work.
Okay.
It's part of
Okay.
unearthing, opening up, right? So again, for you, it's the little things though. Okay, you take little things step by step. Um, what else did I see here? I saw Sedna, I saw Diana, I saw Antigone. Antigone is having your own values. You're very much like you set in your ways, right? You're
Yeah.
yeah. So you're very like but makes you loyal though. It makes you have a sense of justice and morality. That's Antigone. Okay. Um, were you attached to your father?
Yeah, I'm very close to him.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Uh, let's see what else do we have here. Something about dilution or impurity. Let's look at the medical here. Let's see. I'm not looking at your first house, but that's okay. I was just looking into it. I'm just curious. We can look at that later. I also kind of do physical things like medical astrology, but it's something about your hands and feet, your neck area, backbone, spine, torso, circulation. Um, but it's in Taurus. Read like your neck area. There's something about your neck. I don't know yet. I'll have to look at your other charts and see. Okay. Don't tell me. I want to know. Okay. But yeah,
Okay.
Sedna is part of this. So there's that extra layer of energy. Could be fat. That's fine. That's normal. Um, and what else do we have here? It's almost like what did we have here? Sorry, it's 13 degrees, 14 degrees Sedna. Oh, okay. Were you born very chubby?
Not chubby, it was all, as my parent told me, it was all baby fat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's that.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, that's cool. Let me see nymph here. Nymph is 1 second. You're very carefree as a child, and you're still being called to do that. Like you want to be carefree, right? So again, you don't need to have children, but you can work with children, like babies, toddlers, or baby animals. Okay. Or you could
Okay.
also be, something to do with walks, nature walks, going out in nature, flowers, plants, trees, mushroom, anything nature related. But that also includes magic, magical creatures, elves, fairies, magic folk. Okay. Um, Something about purity, purifying things. I feel like one of the things you can do with light energy is to pure and heal. Like it's almost like you're cleansing energy. Either you're cleansing someone's aura, cleansing someone's energy, but also cleansing someone's past. I'm not sure if it's tied to ancestry though, but it's not really ancestry, but like their wounding, the little things, the little energies that they have. It's in Virgo, so it's their nervous system as well. Virgo is tied to also the nervous system, yes. Hmm, but yeah, but also like I said, the lymphatic nodes. I'm gonna look it up. Hold on 1 second here. So, lymphatic system. What is the lymphatic system? It is the part of the defense system, the immune system. Ah, okay. Okay. That makes sense why there's the okay, why there's the other asteroids pertaining to um uh, like defense or something like that. Um yeah, so lymphatic system is you have here the cervical lymph nodes, thoracic duct right here, the spleen on the side here, the thymus right here. I know it's all medical stuff. I don't really understand it myself, but it's there. So the
Okay.
lymphatic system is the hormones. Something to do with growth hormones. Okay, so it is, let me go back here. Inverted that is part of the immune system and complementary to the circulatory system. Okay. So the lymph is a clear fluid carried by the lymphatic vessels back to the heart for recirculation. So it's all about recirculation, circulation. So I feel like for you, it's about like their circulatory system, like the flow of blood and the flow of energy, but also the immune system. So I feel like it's tied to, yeah, it's tied to blood. Yeah, that's right. It's tied to capillary filtration. Okay. I'm just looking at it because it's the fifth, it's in Virgo. Um, Technically you could have been in medical school, technically, but
Okay.
there's a part of your soul didn't really want that. It's a little too technical. What you're being called to do is, yes, be technical, but not in a way that is too attached to physical form. It's more spiritual. I feel like it is. Okay. So it's more about have you heard of what do you call that? Psychic surgery?
No.
Okay. So there is that kind of thing as well, where you're operating on someone on an energetic level. You're clearing things, removing certain blocks, you're removing this and that, you're fixing it. That's might be something to look into, psychic surgery. So working with the energies as well. For you, it's energies, it's psychic energies. You don't have to necessarily channel, but it's tied to it. It's all connected to it. There's something about surgery. Okay. Something also to do with, yeah, opening up, like a Pandora's there and removing the chaos. Let me double check what Ate is here for. Ding. Ate is one of the asteroids that deals with, sorry, chaos. That's weird. Well, maybe I should just look up the number. Okay. 111. 111. Okay, here we go. Well, that's why it wasn't registering. Okay. So any sort of unconscious behavior. And it's actually funny because the word unconscious is also tied to Virgo, because Virgo likes to have routine. So here, yes, you are being called for a routine, but not in an unconscious way. When you're having routine, it means that you just need a bit of stability. You can still flow, like with the Pisces thing, but a bit of stability. It's kind of like a river. Like a river is stable, but it's flowing. Does that make sense? Right? So that's the
A
thing.
little bit.
Well, water flows, right? It's unstable, right?
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
river goes in a specific direction. So there's stability there. But that's the balance here. You need to find a way to flow with the river.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Possibly
Yeah.
go with the flow.
Go with the flow, but with a direction and working on
Oh,
the little things. Okay.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, again, so here you're because of Ate, the asteroid here, talking about working with your shadow, working through finding your inner strength. Okay. Fierceness, having a bit of fierceness, fearlessness. Okay. Watching out for any hubris you might have. Pride. Hubris is excessive pride. Okay. Some sense of victimization. Oh, that's so Pisces. Poor me, poor me. No, you are not a victim. No one is. But you have to work through the shadow first. You can't just be like, I'm going to jump and then say, oh, I'm all cleansed and I'm all spiritual. Yay, I'm pure. And then what happens, the shadow or the ego will use that and be like, it's called ego spirituality. Okay. Ego spirituality or spiritual ego is also the same thing. It's ego. I'm better than you because I'm spiritual, because I know things you don't. I'm a medium. I know light language. Blah, I'm better than you. It's still ego. So we do not resist the ego. We look at it and say, what is the ego really telling us? Again, going back to the meditation thing. But here's the thing. Meditation is not a tool. Meditation is a being, a state of being. So what I mean by that is that you have to you know those moments when you're looking at smelling a flower, you're out in nature, and you just sort of like, wow, you're not really thinking. There's thoughts, but they just go, that's there, and then that's it.
Yeah.
You're in the
There are
now.
many
You're in,
there are many thoughts came at that time.
yeah. Well,
How
so
great
so
is
meditate,
nature
yeah,
is.
yeah. Meditation is not the real sense of meditation is not about having a tool. Tools are tools. That's it. It's kind of like the road you're in. Your soul being in this life is a tool. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just about being in the present moment. Like it's not really about time, like now, time wise now. It's about saying, okay, interesting. So look at life from the lens of curiosity. Look at it from the lens of curiosity. Be childlike, right? So that's the Virgo placement here. It's about purity and like it's like, it's just like it's okay, it's what it is. Pure doesn't necessarily mean you're removing impurities. Pure is seeing exactly things for what they are. Does that make sense? What they are meaning like if your shoe is dirty right now, it's dirty. Do I want to clean it? Sure. Do I don't want to clean it? Sure. Both are pure. You see that? It's funny, right? It's like, well, if it's dirty, shouldn't you clean it? Well, does it matter? You clean it or not, it's the same thing. Do you get what I'm saying here? Do you get where I'm getting at? Like it's not about the polarity. It's not about this or that. So the point is have fun. Have fun with your tools that you use. Have fun with this life, right? Enjoy the purity of what you experience every moment, every second. That's so that's the general goal of this thing that you're going through. Definitely work on the shadow stuff. Like shadow work is the most important, I would say, as a tool. Okay. Remember, as a tool, it's the most important one. You have here your Pluto square, your north node and your south node. It's a T we call this a T square, but the point is that it's Pluto here. Pluto is an important planet for shadow work because it is a planet of transformation, regeneration, power, power as in real inner power, like power. Okay. So, um, because you've had that issue, like you're close to your dad, but at the same time, how you related with him, there are still power struggles. You can see it. Square your sun, Mercury, square Pluto. When I say power struggles, I mean also Jupiter, your sense of self-expression. You weren't able to express yourself fully to your father and how you relate to him. You might be close to him, but there were a lot of struggles with how you expressed yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what else do I see here? Um, so in this, as you're going forward, um, you probably also have issues about self-worth pertaining to like cleanliness. I don't know. I feel like this is tied to that one. There's something about hygiene here. I saw this earlier. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So something about hygiene, cleanliness, medicine, um, any sort of preventative measures, any illness that you came across or on a physical level. but also on a self-worth level. This is like the house of self-worth. This is house of where you're earning potential. So you question this. This is a lot of challenges for you. This is why shadow work is important. Lilith is shadow work. Tied to Pluto, it's definitely shadow work. Okay. But you might be challenged by this because, so how do you look into something if you don't really understand it? Well, maybe stop understanding it and then go into the meditation and the subconscious. Go into child work, inner child work. Okay. And then just allow it to be. Trust that powerlessness that you have. He says you have destined. This is called destined. It's destiny, but it's not fate destiny. What this asteroid represents is what you're most likely feel drawn to. So it's in Scorpio. So you are actually feeling drawn to work on your shadow work. To work on like the your spirituality. Your shadow is tied directly to your sense of freedom. It's in Sagittarius. You're drawn to that. You want freedom, or at least freedom with relationships, freedom with what you agree to do, freedom from or with through marriage. This is the house of marriage, or this is the house of contracts, or a house of open enemies as well. So any sort of relationship stuff. Um, this is where your shadow work is. It's your relationship with people. But shadow work is shadow work. It's anything and everything. Okay. So, but tying it to this, yeah, that's Poca. Let me double check what he's was the Mayan god, or is it Aztec of matter? So he's also about shadow and duality, sacrifice, compassion, balance, empathy, creation, creativity. Um, so it's working through the balance of things. You kind of start to realize like, where are you complacent? What are you complacent about? What needs changing? What has become unconscious and what has become conscious? So this might be tied to also shamanism because you have Tezcatlipoca in the fifth house. So it's funny because now that I look at it, it's tied to your north node, which had also there something about your past node as well. It's all tied together. There's something about shamanism as well. So I feel like I'm not sure if you are interested in shamanism. So shamanism with shadow work, that'll with that will come like the any of the crystal stuff, mediumship, channeling, whatever. Shamanism is like kind of like uses a lot of tools. So I don't know if you've ever thought about that because you have it in your first house, which means that you actually have those abilities. That's why I said earlier, remember working with animals? Shamans work with animals too. Is this resonating with you? Do you feel how are you feeling so far about this?
Yeah, it's really good experience so far.
Oh, sorry, I didn't
Learning
hear you.
about it. Can you hear me? Hello?
Sorry. Yeah, I can't hear you properly. What did you say?
It was quite a good experience. Learned a lot of things about it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we can go to so much more in detail actually, but I mean I do that at all astrologers, real astrologers, like when I say real, I mean like serious well, I wouldn't okay. Astrologers, it helps people to go into it helps us when we go into our charts again. But the point is not about the charts. The point is that we use the charts to help us figure out, oh, that's what this is. Oh, that's what this is. And then it resonates. Actually, our experiences come first, and then the charts prove that. So I keep looking to my chart all the time, all the time. Not every day, but almost every day. I keep doing it because that's a part of the process. So That's the same story. When you look towards yourself, when you go through the inner child healing, when you go through the shadow, when you work on yourself, that's the same thing. You're learning about yourself. So I feel like it's tied to, yeah. So we did say that, yeah, it's tied to um shadow, the shadow work, the shamanism. There's a bunch of other stuff too here, like um that's why you got into, okay, so this is where divination is. Okay, got it. I see it here. Okay, I'm reading my list here. So it's divination. Okay, so you do tarot as well. Yeah, you could do tarot, you could do runes, you could do any form of divination. Um, yeah. Are you in the let's talk about that after. I was wondering about the um the groups. I wanted to see what else I can add here. Um, let's go into your, just hold on one second. Let me open up the Norse node here. Okay. Got Norse nodes. We already went through that. Okay, here we go. Things that might help you along the way is your commitment to the path forward that you're in. Okay. Um, there might be some uh things that you'd have to learn that will help you. Let me see here. Uh, if you're feeling a sense of suppression, like you're suppressing your power, like you feel disempowered, that's a sign to work on something. Okay. Um, I don't know if you've ever been in like a love triangle. Okay. Um, or maybe like, well, we talked about it before. Like if you were in some sort of like arranged or forced marriage, not sure. There's heavy stuff happening here because I see Dejanira, something about foreigners, because it's in your ninth house. This is like you being in Canada or a foreign person. Or in business, this is the ninth house. This is like the house of business. Or it could also be higher education in university or a church. It could be some sort of like religious place or whatever it is. Um, De Janeiro is quite heavy, but I'm going to state it here, okay? So, um, technically she can be about forced marriage or wife stealing or whatever it is, kidnapping, rape, domestic abuse. But because it's a trine, it's not that. I feel it's more about, what is this one? There's something about magnetism. Okay. We talked about that early too. Like you have that magnetic thing, right? Um, you might have control over what's happening ahead if you commit to it. So commitment isn't control, but when you commit to something, because that's what you commit to the little things, because in the past, again, like, you were more like fluid, but this time you need that direction. So if you commit to it, you also have Cliti here. I don't know the other asteroids. I don't know how to read these other ones because I haven't done research on them. Even though I work with already over 100 asteroids, I, I don't know these two, Iris and Aten. I'm going to do my research. I have like 20 more asteroids I'm working on. Um, at least 20 more. Um, so there can be that. Okay. So something to do with foreigners, being magnetized to you, like, or some sort of like, maybe you attract alpha people. Um, I did notice something about your first house, though, by the way. When I say first house, I mean it's what you embody. Whether you agree with me or not on this, that's is doesn't it's here. Okay, and one of the things I saw, I'll show you here. I did not plant this, okay? It's part of the process. Let's see here. What did I see? Let me open this one. Let's see this is the original, these are the original charts I was working with. It looks messy. You'll see it. It's really messy. So I just isolated what we were working on. Okay, so you see here you have first house. So first house represents our body. It's also the first few years of our lives, but it's also because it's our body. It's also our ego, by the way. Um, I noticed something here that's very interesting, and I'm not trying to assume anything. Okay, just letting you know. But I'm reading what I'm seeing here. Okay, this is you. Okay, this is you. Okay. Sappho and Cupid. Cupid here, or Cupido rather. Um, Sappho is like really close relationship with friends or same-sex relationships. Not necessarily same-sex relationship per se, but do you get what I'm saying here? I don't want to assume anything, but I'm just saying that this is what it is. Okay. So I don't know if you identify with being queer because I do. I have Sappho also in my first house. So that explains the reason I'm mentioning this is because I was very curious. I was like, oh, okay. So but with me, you don't have to worry about anything. Okay. You can talk to me about anything you want to. Okay. So you're not going to get any judgment from me. You okay? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to close these ones. Okay. Um, let's see here. Something about, okay, so let's go back here. So yes, when you commit to something, there's also, um, you have Selena here. She is about being natural. It's in your 12th house. So that means that it's sort of like when you have you ever heard of dream work, like working with dreams?
No, no, never.
No? Okay, that's
No,
fine. Okay,
no,
okay.
not me.
Okay, well, because it's in your 12th house or in a state of meditation when you go into your subconscious. This is the house of subconscious. So this is where you'll find things that you kind of dwell over, things that you are sort of dealing with as well. Because you have Celine here. So this is where you find your sense of immortality, so to speak. Your wisdom will be here. You'll find it there. Okay. Um, and these are the places where you'll understand what you really want, or like any love interest you might have, like where is that from? So it's your subconscious. It's your desires that'll make you truly happy. Because it's the subconscious is connected to our, well, our higher selves, our soul. It's connected to that. So this is where you'll find that. So when you go into meditation, that's what it's going to show. It's also going to show what you feel more naturally drawn to, because it's trine to your north node. Okay, north node is 10 degrees here. Okay, so Selene there tied to that. This is where you'll go through anything, any sense of victimization, any egoic beliefs, okay? Any sort of anger you might be feeling deep within, things that you feel lazy about, things that you put off, okay? Um, again, things that you want really in your life, okay? In this life, what your soul wants, how you grow, okay? Uh, this is where you also have any sort of some of your vision. It says here your scotopic vision. I forgot what that means. Um, unclear sight. So maybe things that you might not see in everyday life, but you'll probably see here. Okay. Again, keep in mind, I keep saying probably. Okay, there's potential. Maybe you might be drawn more to the moon or something like that. Maybe there's a part that wants to work through your emotions, your basic needs. Okay, that's the moon. Okay. Um, Still also tied to spells, magic. Okay, invocation, incantations, sorcery, summoning. Okay, magic tricks, witchcraft, illusions, dreams. Okay, that's part of that. This is the house of dreams as well. This house of dreams is like subconscious. There's another house that's about dreams, but this is like vision dreams, like your future. What do I dream of? This is not that. This I'm talking about your um dreams. Oh, but it's also trying to your actual dreams. So that's a good sign. Okay.
Especially work out humor is manifestation.
Hmm?
Purpose,
I
purpose.
can't hear you. What?
Manifestation is purpose.
I can't hear you. Sorry, it's unclear. What did you say?
Manifestation.
I can't hear what you said. I'm sorry. I change your how you're speaking. How were you?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Um, I can hear you, but it's kind of muffled. It's muffled. You might need to go to somewhere quiet.
Okay.
Oh, do you want to come?
Hello.
Uh, okay, there's two voices there. Okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah, a little better. Yeah. Okay, it's clearer.
Work out humor is mostly of manifestation. As I have
Okay, it's sorry, it's still muffled. What?
Hello.
Yeah, it's still muffled. It's like this. It's like you're talking like this. I can't hear it.
See different type of
Ah,
snakes in my dreams.
what about your dreams? Sorry,
Did you hear? Is it audible?
a little bit now. Yeah, it's audible. Yeah, okay.
I saw different type of snakes.
Snakes.
Yeah, in my dream.
Yeah.
In my dream.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Is that any type of signal or symbol of something?
Let me double check here. Oh, I think I saw something earlier about that. Uh, it's in, I think I saw Kenlunos in your fifth house. Yeah, it's right here in the fifth house. Uh, it's quincunx to your Neptune. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, I'm gonna look at your other charts 1 second here. I'm gonna open that again. Snakes often represent rebirth. They represent a rebirth, a transformation. Okay, so, but you have, hold on. I want to see what other asteroids show me here. Oh, you have Ubasti. That's your past life. If you're dreaming about that, because Ubasti is it's in your ninth house, even though you don't necessarily dream about it. But if you dreamt about it because you are Pisces, it's connected to there's a tie between all these planets here in your 11th house. It feels like I feel like the snakes are something about a shift in like the job, your work that you have. You're being called to transform that. However, this is also the year of the snake. Okay. We're transitioning from the year of the dragon to the year of the snake. Year of the dragon to the year of the snake, which means that we're trying to get past we're trying to also move past the hidden that things that don't work for us anymore. It's time to kind of come out. Okay. It means we have transformations. Snakes represent transformations, changes. You know, when snakes they shed their skin, right? That's exactly what it is. But I feel like snakes also have to do with adaptability because they move, right? They flow, right? It's tied into what we talked about earlier about venom. Remember we talked about venom? And venom and poison means that there's something toxic in your life. I feel like we talked about this too. You remember I said I saw here your Pluto is square your sun. In fact, you have Pluto core square your sun, Mercury, Jupiter placement. Because you want relationships to be a specific way. You want it to be like, you know, free. You want to have that actual like you want to live life as if it's like you're flowing with life. But the thing is, your relationship with your father, according to this, okay, it feels like there's something he's ignoring. And you feel that that's where the power struggle. There's no connection, or there's you feel like you're close, but remember, it could just be that you feel that you're close, but are you close? So, right? But at the same time, there's a part of him, your father is an aspect of yourself that you need to let go. I'm not saying forget him. I'm just saying there's some things that he will not accept about you that you have to accept in yourself about you. Okay. So it could be the spirituality thing. Okay. It could be, again, it could be about your sexuality. I'm just saying that out. Okay. This is what I see here in the charts. That's what they're showing me. So it could be other things too. It could be your desire for freedom or certain things. It could be many things. But if he does, if he doesn't really help you grow, if he doesn't help your relationship, like you yourself, if he doesn't help you be your true self, and that's okay, which is okay, because that's him, right? So this is what the shadow work is. You have to also unveil, you have to also release some of the, and first of all, you need to unearth and release and open to yourself. What does it mean subconsciously? How do you feel about it? What is your soul wanting? But at the same time, what is it that, because we want to be close to our parents, we want to be connected to them, but can't always be like that. We can be close to them in some ways, but not in some ways. That's the reality of things. That's why it's good to be in a community, because there's an aspect of you that can be met by someone else, and an aspect of you that's met by someone else, some other person. So, right? Your parents can't be the all for you. They were there for you, maybe, I would say, financially, maybe they were there for you, okay? Communicationally, maybe. But in other aspects of you, maybe not. And that's fine. So there's something there. So I feel like it's tied to your freedom. It's tied to your sense of adventure. It's in Sagittarius. Also, your belief systems, your ideology, your philosophy, your education, your way of your thinking, your way of doing things. Being in Canada, maybe that's another thing too. Maybe he didn't like that. He didn't agree with that, right? So, and that's fine because that's his thing and you have your thing. It doesn't mean that you love him less or that he loves you less. It just means that you're just two different fragments of the one thing. But it's perception, right? But that's part of the lesson. We come here in this life, on this planet, on this earth, this life, physical form, to learn. How do we know we're the same? By knowing we're different. That's how you do it. That's integration, right? Integration. That's how you know you're the same because you're different. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Good.
So,
So,
usually, what about my partner?
sorry, you're still muffled. You're going to have to be clearer. I think you're too close to the mic. What?
Hello?
Yeah. That's clearer right there. In that moment, that's clearer. Stick with that. What are you saying?
Hello?
Yeah,
Yeah, now can you hear me?
much better. Still hold that position. Yeah, okay. And then what are you saying?
Yeah, so can we go to the questions that I asked for?
Yeah,
Uh,
okay, so this is part of success. First of all, let me ask you, what is success to you?
to me, it's getting financial stable. So right now, I'm doing the part-time job and looking for the, full-time 9 to 5 or something like that. Or should I
Okay.
go to a business field, start my own? And the second one was that what factor should I see in my soulmate?
First of all, okay, what makes
Yeah.
you, what do you know, do you feel you know what makes you happy?
Uh, Yeah.
I'm gonna go deep here, okay? So
Okay.
what is happiness?
Happiness, according to me, to having a good normal life.
What's normal life? What is that?
For me, that it should be caring for each other and being loyal.
What does that mean?
So being normal
What's normal?
and, and having same interest, same,
But what is normal?
normal life is, it can be like we are in the same field. Like if I'm in IT, so she must be also in IT,
Okay.
and having same interest, that
Okay.
like I am being little bit not much extrovert, so she must be like also that. So these are some, not like I am introverts and I want like that we should be unlike match, doesn't match each other. But there is also a saying that opposites attract.
Okay.
Yeah. So can you tell me that what my chart shows about my, partner, life partner?
Okay. There are several parts.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, we already talked about this. You have Pluto, core, Ixion, conjunction. I'm going to start with this chart here in your seventh house. If you forced a marriage, if you force some kind of marriage, it will block you from your path. When I say block you, I mean it will not block you, but you'll find struggle in being happy because what really needs to happen is you need the challenges in life. You have Pluto here to show you how to be real, not what you think is real, but what it will continuously challenge you. What is it that you really want? What is it that you really want? And then you're going to keep repeating the same thing over and over again until you continue to realize, oh, that's not what I really wanted. Right? So Pluto here is just it's about it's Pluto likes to flay us alive. Flay, when you flay the skin, that's Pluto. Pluto is exactly like it's trying to be real. It's asking you to be genuine, real. But you can't be genuine alone by b- only relying on it's like, oh, I think this is what I want. That's the earthly thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's more like if you're looking for normal, as you said, normal, you mean like no challenges? Good luck. Okay. You need challenges in life to test you to be real. In this day and age now, we are being challenged to do that. When I say real, I don't mean like telling people to, to swear at them or getting mad at them. That's not being real. Real is like, what is it that I'm owning in myself? It's about power. It's about taking back your power. So I'm looking right here. This placement here already shows me that you have a lot of these struggles that you have with finding yourself is only going to come through forth more. So you have to follow that. You have to follow your heart. not what you think is going to happen. Follow your heart. When I say heart, I don't mean like the passion, like, oh, I'm going to have sex and I'm going to have marriage and I'm going to fulfill what others want me to do. No, I mean what your soul wants, like what is fulfilling, really fulfilling. Like children know what that is. When you were a child, you knew that. You didn't question what it was. You just knew it. So that's what it's showing. That's what it's showing me. Pluto will reveal that. Pluto is a big game changer. Pluto is the one that is going, I will shed you to pieces. I will skin you alive. I will show you the truth again and again and again until it is actually something you start to realize. Does that make sense? Okay. So it's going to be, this is the house of marriage. The house of marriage, this is where it's going to be. You have Pluto in your seventh house. So it's going to be challenging because you have it square your sun, your Mercury, actually you have Pallas Athena here, your Jupiter, your North Node as well. It's all square that. Square aspects represent in astrology, it represents struggles, challenges, but it makes you stronger. Okay? Challenges, it's like, how do you expect a stone to be shiny and smooth if you're not going to rub it? You get what I mean by rub? I mean the things that kind of like, ugh, that rub us the wrong way. The things that kind of like, ugh, I don't like that. I don't like that. Stop resisting the I don't like. Stop resisting the difference. Stop resisting the negative. Stop resisting the challenges. See what you can learn from that. See how you can grow from that. That's exactly what's going to continue to happen. Because I know with Pisces, people in Pisces, Sun in Pisces, there's a tendency to escape, run away from things, run away from things. The more you run away, the more you're not gonna learn. Okay. Now, in terms of like your success, well, success is up to you. You think that there's probably a belief that you have where it's success is gonna fall from the sky. No, you're going to be guided towards it, but you have to take the step. You have to align with what makes your heart grow. What is it? What is it that makes me really happy? Because what is happiness? Isn't happiness going back home? Isn't happiness like the sense of like at peace? Isn't that what happiness is? Do you think you're going to find it in the job, the people, the house, the car? Do you think you're going to find it there? Because once you have it, then what? You move on to the next one, you move on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. That's right. That's not really happiness. It's okay to have those, but eventually you're also going to learn that, right? So you're born 1998, right? You were born 18 years after me. So you're still in your 20s. 20, what is that? 20 years, what is that? In your 30s, 32? You're 32 years old? Or you're turning 32, I believe, or 33. So
No, I am 27. Gonna be
27. Okay.
27 in Feb.
Okay, so late 20s. Okay. So I miscalculated that. Either way. So
Sorry?
I just miscalculated it. That's all.
Yeah,
Okay.
27.
Okay. So okay. So um that's your house of marriage has a lot of challenges in it. But those challenges are up to you to learn from. If you think you're powerless against it, you're gonna remain powerless. It doesn't mean fight it. it means that you accept what you can control and release what you cannot. Okay. Pluto is a big one here. Pluto is going to challenge you with power. So you feel like you're not in control. And that's okay. I'm used to that. So, because you want to be in control. I feel like you continue to want to be in control. You have your, what is this? Yeah. You have your sun, you have your Jupiter in Pisces, which is already a ruler of Pisces. You have Neptune, which is also a ruler of Pisces, but it was in Aquarius. However, it's all in the earlier degrees of Pisces. So you're very like how you perceive you're idealistic, right? But you have a very, I would say, a young mind perspective on what idealism is. But what is idealism? You want it to be perfect. You want it to be your way, right? So so you said normal. Normal often means that's what everybody does. But, the world is actually changing. When I say the world is changing, I don't just mean physically, I mean energetically. So that desire for normal, that's the old stuff. It doesn't mean that you can't be in a relationship, but it just means that what is it that you really want for yourself? And the reason I'm doing this right now, instead of just showing you in the charts, because I can show you, okay, you're, it shows that you have a relationship that might be, uh, maybe the person might have, like, there will be power struggles because you might want to do this, but they won't want to do this. They want to do it this way, and you want to do it your way. So there's going to be that, right? You're going to experience that. Have you had those relationships where there's like power struggles?
Hello?
Yeah. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
currently have never experienced that.
So you don't know. Okay. Yeah, because it
Yeah,
does show here. Your soul wants you. There's a part of you that is trying to, right? Because your
okay,
soul wants
okay.
to do it, but I feel like there's a part of you, your ego, is fighting that.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So your ego is fighting what it is, because people think that in order to be happy, they need the external first.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. You need to work on yourself and then the rest will come. But even if they don't come, that's not the point. Okay. So I feel like you need to work more on yourself. Because if you're looking for that, because who says that? Where is that coming from? Where is that coming from? Where is your that belief? You have to question your beliefs. Because according to this one, looking at 29 degrees, your Imam Kweli, your core beliefs are tied to what your family does. It's in Cancer. It's family. It's in the last degrees also of Cancer, 29 degrees, Imam Kweli. So your core beliefs are tied to family, your loyalty to your family. Very strong, actually. Your ties to having a family, your beliefs towards security. And that carries over to your relationships. You're holding on. When you're holding on to something so much, what happens? You squeeze it, you start to squeeze it. You cannot breathe, right? It's not free. So therefore, you will not have that freedom. So the lesson is to find the wisdom in that. Your core beliefs is tied to your what you believe about relationships, because your family is your first relationships. So you carry that over to other relationships, even friends and lovers. You'll carry that over, right? And which in turn, that actually affects your career. If you believe in holding on to so much, your career will also be just as tight. I realize you're mid-heaven. This is your reputation. This is more like what people expect of you. It's almost like the people see you as this like hardworking person, maybe also isolated, very like, away from people because you want to be in control. If you let people in, that'll change things, right? So take it or leave it. Whatever I say here is part of the journey. So, what is it called this? Yeah, Capricorn here, 29 degrees in Capricorn, midheaven, opposite of Cancer. It's the same degree anyways. It's for you, it's about, it's the axis. This is called the axis, the family axis in astrology, but it represents our, not just core beliefs, but how we relate with security, our sense of security. For you, it's really strong. Like you want it to be secure. You want that sort of like, so but with that kind of security means like you want control. But control is an illusion. Right? So there is control, what you can control, but that's you within yourself. That's why I kept saying you have to work on yourself. What can you work on yourself? You do shadow work. You have Orcus in your fourth house. It's tied to your moon, but it's also tied to your Saturn Eris. So I believe that you actually have the ability to be honest with yourself, integrity, with your emotions. Your mood is in the eighth house. It's in Sagittarius. So you're drawn to the things that are transformative in life. You're very much grow through that. You actually, that's kind of like it's tied to what you want as well, rather what you need. Your basic needs are, you want it to be inspirational. You want things to be inspirational. You want that freedom as well. So you attract that as well. The moon is also about magnetism. So you attract people who also want freedom. And you also have it trying to your Saturn Eris. But the thing is, this is your subconscious. In your subconscious, your sense of discipline is hidden. Your sense of, when I say discipline, I don't necessarily mean like how to be disciplined, but your sense of your fears are actually hidden. It's in your subconscious. Eris is here to challenge that. Eris is, so whenever you dream, you go through these challenges of like, uh, where your fears have to be dealt with. Any fears, karmic beliefs that you have, beliefs about your ego, beliefs about what you want, hidden beliefs. Okay. Eris is there to challenge that. Eris is actually um, making you see the truth through your dreams. But the thing is, for you, again, you just see dreams as dreams, but they're a message about your subconscious. So you're being called to find the integrity through that. However, it's not unless you work through yourself first. That could also, I would say the dream work and stuff like that, going to the meditation, but also dream analysis that might help you with yourself as well. Because like I said, you can look for all the people you want. You can get married tonight. You can get married today if you want to. You can go on a dating site if you want to right now. By all means, go ahead and do that. What does that accomplish? Then what? Right? It's not, that's true happiness is not external. Cannot be found external. External is a manifestation of the internal. It's an inside outside job. That's what's happening now. But many people will still want the outside inside work. That's what people still do today. It's not making them happy. So, because we still think it's like money, fame, fortune, marriage, whatever, everything external is going to fulfill what's internal, what's missing internally. That's not how it works. Because how did reality come into being anyways? How did this reality come into being? If you look at the metaphysics behind it, the universe is the universe, right? You cannot have physical reality unless you densify something, unless you go like this. That's how it is. Energy is like that. So, but there is a not so sorry, but there is what we call it. There's a caveat to that. There's a I guess you can say a catch. There's a catch to that. The denser something is, the harder it is to connect with external, like not external, the source of energy itself. I hope that makes sense because it's like, right? Because we believe that this is the only reality. We feel this is the only reality, but it's not. There's actually a really deeper inner intelligence that knows there's more than this. So when it comes to your marriage and your success, you have to redefine what those really mean for you. You have to work on yourself. Because all I see, what I'm seeing here is you're going to be challenged. And you're still challenged even to this day. When I say challenge, I mean like it's almost like you can't find yourself. Right? Because as we talked about that earlier, your Pluto is square your sun, square Mercury. So you're being challenged. So it feels like a challenge. It feels like I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I need, or something like that, right? You feel like you think you know what you need, but those are just programming. That's what you grew up with, right? Is this making sense or no?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a truth.
So okay. So
So if there is anything else to see,
there's always lots to see, but
okay.
it's just these are the signs of what to do. Like not what to do, what to learn from it.
So mainly I work on myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
There may be a part of you that wants to skip it, though. There may be a part of you that wants to escape it. There may be a part of you that wants to be like, this is too much work. Well, that's fine. Rest, but don't quit, right? Stopping is not quitting, it's just resting. Resting is resting,
okay.
right? So look up Teal Swan stuff, shadow work,
Yeah, definitely.
okay? Because you have also, like I see here, also your Neptune is tied to the house of This is often the house, people call this the house of success, but it's anything could be success. Like what is success, right? So, but Neptune here will add to the delusions. Neptune is also about mystery, but it's also about delusions. This is real. This is real. This is real, right? Neptune rules the entertainment industry. Neptune rules magic. Neptune rules illusions, magic tricks, charm, right? Those kind of stuff. But there's a trick to Neptune. Neptune is a pacifist energy. So you have to learn how to work with the way to work with your inner Neptune, so to speak, is understanding the delusions and illusions and reality. Is it the reality that you feel it's here? Because thoughts and emotions are a different energy. Emotions come from thought, and thought is also an energy, but that's a different reality.
Okay.
Right. So you have to understand, like, it's not
Yeah.
whatever you're going through, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So I'm just saying that that's my conclusion here, because core and Ixion conjunction here with Pluto means that either you or your partner, this is general, okay,
Okay.
will,
Okay.
it's almost like you'll fight each other. But you also have Chiron in your seventh house. So your wounding means that you have wounding even in marriage about power and control. And, so why? Where is that coming from? Why do you want control in the first place? Is it because you cannot control it? Or is it because they're controlling you? Because if there is that, then that means you are not fulfilling your full happiness, your bliss. Ixion is about bliss. Core is about function, flowing with life. It's life's rhythm, flowing with it. Because if we're not flowing with life, when I say life, I mean it's not about what you do, it's your being.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you feel inspired to do something, follow that. Follow the heart. Follow what spirit is telling you. Follow that.
Yeah. Sure.
If you start to second guess yourself, then you'll be like, it's okay to have thoughts, it's okay to have logic, it's okay to have those things. That's fine. But that's for math and calculations, yada yada, writing, that's fine. But when it comes to inspiration, when it comes to what you truly want, it won't happen unless you release it. Okay.
Yeah.
But you have the wounding here in your seventh house means that you have to. I think that I think that it's not only working yourself will help, but also not only the shadow work too, but also to uh what is this here? But also to okay. Really find okay, so your wounding comes from being honest with yourself, integrity.
Okay.
But it comes from your ancestry, comes from your family line, past lives, family line, ancestry, your parents. Okay. If you're not honest with yourself, and this is Orcus in Leo, Leo is the energy of the self. Leo is the eternal child. Leo is heart. If you're not happy with if you're not true with what your heart wants, the wounding is going to continue to happen. But it's meant to happen continuously. But healing is an ongoing thing. Healing is not like, I'm healed, I'm done the meditation, yeah, I'm done. No, but it will get better. It will get better. Right?
Yeah.
The goal is, yes, exactly. It's not not A to Z. Fuck all that difference. Fuck all that, like the past stuff, the conditioning we had from the past. It's only this one. It's linear. It's not linear. Real life, real energy. It's not linear. This reality is linear, but that's this reality. But we are not only on Earth. We are everything as well. So we cannot just stick to this reality. We have to respect it, honor it, value it, but then also connect it to a different reality. That's what's changing in the world today. Okay, so start with these tools, okay, of shadow work. Okay, that's the most important one.
Yeah.
Work on yourself.
Definitely. Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
I hope that helps.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
really helped a lot.
yes, and then the rest will follow, and then right. So The delusions of your success, your career, house of career will change. Even your house of money, you start to connect with people more. Okay. It all comes down when you work on yourself first. Inside out job. Inside out. Not outside in.
Okay.
I hope that helps. Okay.
Yeah.
Email me if you have any questions. Are you coming to the circle tonight with Diana? Circle?
No, actually, I got some work.
Okay.
So, yeah, it won't be possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So look at Teal Swan stuff and then also look at Eckhart Tolle.
Sorry?
Eckhart Tolle.
What?
Eckhart
Uh,
Tolle stuff.
okay.
Here, I'll send it. You know what? I'll type it in here. I don't know if you could see it here.
In the chat?
Yeah, Eckhart Tolle and Teal Swan.
Okay, what's this?
Eckhart Tolle. Look at his stuff. If it resonates with you, fine. If it doesn't, fine. Either way. But that's my recommendation. Go with what resonates with you.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for
So
your time. It's been
no
a
problem.
great pleasure. I appreciate your efforts. Yeah,
Oh
you
yeah,
did
my
a great
pleasure.
work. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, okay. You're welcome. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sharon.
Yeah.
Okay. Good luck.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you.